I've got some exciting news for us this week, channeled from the angels. They're letting us know that something big has happened for Gaia. So, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you guys are here to share in this good news and how it can affect us and what we should do about it. So, welcome back, you guys. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing these messages with me. And for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance state. And from that state, I raise my awareness up as high as I can go, and then I just stretch myself a little higher, and I connect at the angelic realm, and then messages, information, and healing come through, and I share it here with you guys on YouTube. So yeah, this week's message is apparently Gaia has come into greater alignment with self-love, that she has released. I think all this recent earth activity that we've had has helped her to release some stuff, and there's a concentration of energy, they're calling it, and it has the potential to help us to open our hearts more easily. So the message gives us really clear guidance on how we can use this energy, what we should be looking for, how we can work with it. Super, super exciting. So yeah, so anyways, this is a good one. I'm really, really glad you guys are here with me. Also, if you are thinking of coming to my retreat, in October, we have the Expand Your Heart retreat. There are a few spaces left. It is filling up, and the hotel is filling up. So there are some spaces left in the hotel. I want to let you know. If and when it does fill up, there are some other alternatives that we have on my website. But if you would like to stay in the hotel, and if you would like to come to the retreat, just know that we are getting close. It's happening the weekend of October 24th, and it's starting to fill, you guys. So if you've been on the fence thinking about it, if you've been waiting, jump in. I would love to have you join me. You guys know this is one of the most fun things I do during the year. I look forward to it all year long. So I hope you can join me. So, all right. And the link is on my website. You'll see it there. It's anntucker.com. And there's a tab at the top about live events. And that's where you'll find more information. So, all right. So if you are ready, take a deep breath and let's listen. Let's do first the original channeling. And then afterwards, my format, as you know, we will break it down and talk through. All right. Take a breath, and here we go. Blessings, we are within. We are beginning again, starting anew, refreshing ourselves into an opening. A convergence has occurred that has allowed us to break through old happenings, to reconstruct what has been in a new way, to orchestrate a revolutionary instigation for yourselves. There has been a concentration of energy within the earth herself. A new voyaging is possible now, only just begun. A new concentration that shall elevate your own voyaging much earlier. The sensation you've been having, the revolutionary concepts that you're exploring, the new beginnings that seemed far off are now opening as portals, as doorways that come closer and closer. We say that this instigation has not yet started, but is concentrating. The figurative concepts of what is a new start must break apart. There cannot be the same conceptualization of what new beginnings will look like. It will be a departure from expectation. It will be a fracturalization of your thought patterns that move apart into the ether and leave space in the void for this concentration of energy to form anew, to bring forward into thought form a new patterning that has not yet existed. This concentration of earth energy, yes, from the earth herself, shall orchestrate itself within the next opening of timing as it is performed by her and yourselves. The concentration of vitality, must build up into an expression of light from within her. This new opening shall cause for yourselves a departure from old ways much faster. New beginnings shall rupture much more quickly into the potentials that can rise between you. New offerings, new understandings, new ways of accessing your own hearts. Your heart shall open much further. There shall be portals of concentration within yourselves because of what she is experiencing, the earth. Your own bodies nourished from her shall be bequeathed with this same instigation. An opportunity shall rise between and among you to open your hearts further than has been easily accessible. It shall be a rupturing apart of old paradigms of thinking, as if new perspectives sharpen and call you into perspective that was not made available before. These concentrations of energy impart a spiritual perspective that is divinity. All concentrations of light are divine. They are in reality an experience of divinity, and they build up within the concentration of the earth in her experiencing of what are her own thought patterns. And these then ripple out to be justified within the physicality of your own bodies. And you shall be experiencing a departure from old thinking. You shall acknowledge your own path much differently and shall feel your hearts more glad for the inspiration to love more deeply, to forgive more easily, to bypass old grudges, and to allow what is with more ease. We say that this departure shall increase the volatility of the earth, for she has within her the capacity to expand more now, the capacity to bridge farther than was previously thought possible. The creative potential of her expression shall rupture more easily that which has encased her, that which has restrained her dialogue with the all that is. She shall find herself more forgiving, less reliant upon old stories and woundings, as if that which defined herself and yourselves into the structured and rigid consecrations of victimhood become fragile and break easily. And she shall rise to impart to herself a broader dialogue of acceptance of herself. And in the reality, as it is forming around yourselves and from within yourselves, there shall rise new potentials for caring and loving what is. This is an imperative step for the wholeness that you wish to embody. It is an imperative step for the soulful climb into the new functioning of reality, into the higher aspect of who you are, the broader, greater selves that you are becoming. But it was not expected just yet. The flash of light will come. It is not this. It is not the great moment of ascension. It is merely an expression of yourselves that enriches that which must come later. It creates for yourselves a broader throughway. More of yourselves shall be carried into the beyond nature of who you become. There shall be a lengthening in the duration of your ascension, as if more and more of your embodiment can attune to what is the new dialogue that is becoming. Thus, as this adventuring that you are on becomes richer, We encourage yourselves to become conscious of this awakening time, of all that moves through you. The earth herself has achieved something that is remarkable and memorable as she has saturated herself in a loving frequency of I am. And this then becomes something palpable which you can partake in. We wish this for yourselves. We wish for yourselves to own and to take in and to be part of this heightening perspective of self. The broadening expression of your light can then transport you into higher yet dialogues with the eternal self that is always becoming. We bless you. We thank you. We say goodbye. So yeah, very exciting, very, very exciting. And right now, for this to come up with this portal we are in, with this experience, it's not a portal, but the eclipses, this experience we're having with the moon and the sun, the eclipse, and all of this, it's like there's so much energy for us to use, and to know that the earth has achieved this, as they say, a concentration of light. So it feels like she moved through something really, really big, which is, I'm sure, like I said, associated with all of the different earth movement we've had recently. So much light has been hitting the planet. We've had like huge earthquake after huge earthquake, and lots of earth movement and lots of buildup. And then all of a sudden, these pockets of huge release and volcanoes. And I think that must have moved something in her. And so we know what that's like as a human. As you move through your own energy, as you release trapped emotions, it creates the space for more light inside. So there has been something where she was stuck in a false story about herself. And we know from one of the past messages the angels gave her that one of the stories that has been primary for her has been one of isolation, where she was cut off from the universe, cut off from everything else out there. And she believed herself, it was a worthiness issue, right? Where she felt alone and she felt like abandoned and isolated. And there's been something in her that has come to terms with what is, has shifted the story in her own head. We are her neurons, so I'm sure we are participating in that, but she has moved some stuck emotions. And so that creates space for light, and it's light self-love, right? It is her light, her energy, her connection to source, because she is a soul just like us. She just happens to be taking on a bigger embodiment, right? But she's no different. Like any one of you could at some point in your journey decide to be a planet. And so she is a person, right? She's a person. And so just like we are people, but not in a human way, she's in a planet way. Who knows? Maybe she was a human at some point. I don't know. Oh, she couldn't actually, because humans only exist here. So I take that back. She's only ever been, all right, she's never been a human person, but she's an earth person. And so she is, so she is coming into greater alignment with the feeling of self-love. She is easier in her own skin. And so what that means is stuff breaking apart, right? Stuff, energies, stuff that was limiting, breaking open. Thought patterns breaking apart, where she may even have these and those thought patterns, since we are the neurons of the earth, those thought patterns are going to ripple out through humanity, which means we are going to start having our perspective shift on things. There'll be some things where, like, all of a sudden you are able to see something that really sucked you in, where you just couldn't avoid the trigger. All of a sudden you're going to see it from a spiritual perspective. You're going to see it from the perspective of how it serves you or how it serves the other person or what it's showing you about yourself. It'll be as if all of a sudden you're able to climb up onto the mountain and look down and see the whole pattern, which is so exciting, right? So exciting, because that's liberation. You know, that when that awareness kicks in, you can free yourself from really difficult things, really difficult patterns. So yeah, this is phenomenal, right? Phenomenal. Okay, so let's break down the message. So they say, first paragraph, you know, they always kind of let us know where we're going. They say, blessings, we are within. We are beginning again, starting anew, refreshing ourselves into an opening. So this is, I think this first line, they're referring to something they mentioned later in the message, because this has happened and it was not expected, like it wasn't expected that at this point the earth would make this much progress. And we did the same thing. They told us in a past message that humans have made more progress than was expected. Like, we're way ahead of schedule, which is super, and of course it's going to affect the earth because we are her neurons. So it makes sense. Like, something has happened, shifted in us. and her emotions are shifting, which can happen sometimes an emotional shift is driven by a shift in your awareness. When we see something, all of a sudden have that spark of realization, and then it shifts the energy through. So I bet you we were a big part of this, which is really, really cool, right? Really, really cool. So in any case, but what that means is that old structures or limiting beliefs about what was going to happen or what we might expect or what new beginnings might be, that those will have to break apart. And it'll have to be something new. So we have to give space for this time for things to kind of reform themselves. And it's really going to be an energetic thing about what it might feel like who will we be as we enter into the shift. It's really about that. And but they're referring to it like beginning again, creating a new beginning. So it's like, okay, we get to reform our concept about what this experience is going to feel like. And I don't think that this discounts in any way how it will unfold in terms of what the angels have shared with us about their role and what it will feel like and stuff like that. I think what will change is how much of ourselves we get to take along. Yeah. And that will definitely change things. I think we'll come online much faster when we'll hit the ground. I think more running when we move to the higher frequency, which is very exciting, right? They say a convergence has occurred that has allowed us to break through old happenings, to reconstruct what has been in a new way, to orchestrate a revolutionary instigation for yourselves. So to reconstruct what has been in a new way is basically saying that it's looking at our past and seeing it through fresh eyes, through a spiritual perspective. So this is the healing, a healing of awareness, of acceptance, right? Of moving into more coherence, less resistance to what has been. And so this is talking about a convergence. So, my main healing program, my deep healing program is called Soul Convergence for a reason. And convergence refers to that idea of all the aspects of you converging into one. It is pulling up all those pieces of things that we have rejected. Like think of like anything you've ever said, done, experienced, or that has ever been said or done to you, or what experiences that you had to participate in that you didn't want to, anything that you wish didn't happen. And that would be in this lifetime, in other past lifetimes, all the way back. Those are all pieces of ourselves that we push away because we wish they didn't happen. We wish it didn't exist. And we don't want to think about it. We don't want to feel it. And those are all, and so the earth has this too. The earth has feelings she doesn't want to deal with. And because feelings hurt and feelings can feel scary, it feels like standing on the edge of a cliff and you don't want to jump over because you're worried you'll get lost in that bad feeling. It will take over. It feels scary as it rises up. So the earth has this experience too. That's why our what we do in Soul Convergence, as you guys know, is we integrate all these aspects and try to become sovereign, try to become whole again. And it's a convergence of all of ourselves. So she has experienced a convergence. So pieces of herself that she used to be in resistance to, she has released those feelings and is now able to bring those aspects of herself back inside, into the heart. So this has happened. A big one has happened for her. She's had a major release, right? And it has allowed the angels to break through old happenings, to reconstruct what has been in a new way, to see it through spiritual eyes, right? To orchestrate a revolutionary instigation for yourselves. So here's the next piece of it that they're going to talk about, right? That yes, she has done it. Convergence, new energy, amazing, and it's going to help us. Super, super cool. Revolutionary even. I love it. I love it. Next paragraph. There has been a concentration of energy within Earth herself. Right. So this is not energy from the sun. This is generated. It is literally because in the same way that each of us has a connection to source, we have our own energy. So the more that we are open to that energy, which means not being in resistance to who we are, the more we heal, the more of that energy flows through us. It is our unique connection to source. And guess what? Earth has one too. So yeah, she's getting bombarded with energy from the sun and from the universe, and all this kind of stuff is coming at her. But at the same time, she has her unique connection to source, and she has just gotten out of her own way a little bit more, and a bunch more energy has just come into her. So she is lighting up more, which is very, very exciting. A concentration of energy within the earth herself. A new voyaging is possible now, only just begun. A new concentration that shall elevate your own voyaging much earlier. So what that means by that, it doesn't mean that we're going to have the shift of consciousness, because they say it here, it's not the flash of light. What they mean is that it's like we're entering into this process of self-awareness and this process of becoming comfortable, like starting to embody some of the traits of the new state of being earlier. It means that we are moving, we're deepening the journey. We're like, if imagine that the transition date is here, and before we was like it's like we're kind of like here, and then there's like this ramp up where we kind of all of a sudden the energy takes off, and then boom, flash of light. Well, that ramp up just starts way back here now. So we get to start experiencing, like they said, doorways, portals, like we start to move through awarenesses and start to open up that book I was talking about and get more and more out of it. Like we're in this harvesting time. There's so much more opportunity for us now to start digging in to really enriching our lives now, even before the flash of light occurs, which is amazing, just amazing. So it happens much easier, right? The sensation you've been having, the revolutionary concepts that you're exploring, the new beginnings that seemed far off are now opening as portals, as doorways that come closer and closer. So it's like we get to start stepping into some of these energies before the big shift. So, and the reason I think this is important to kind of see the distinction is that the shift, the big shift of the, like when the earth gets hit with the flash of light, when we all get hit with the flashlight, that affects everyone. Like that is going to help the whole planet. And there will be some people who, for whatever reason, are more open to change, but maybe have not been on a spiritual path, who maybe have been stuck in their own stories. They just have not had their awakening. But they're not necessarily in resistance. It just hasn't happened yet. Flash of light comes and it's like pop, like a balloon, and boom, they're going to walk down the street and see angels, which is like, I can't even wait for that. I always talk about that because I can't wait for that to happen. I'm super excited for that to happen. I want to meet one of those people. It would be so great. So, okay. So yeah, all this stuff, the doorways, portals, so we will have access. And it might be in moments, it might be in big, like almost like giant strides where we kind of leap forward in our own growth. So cool. Next paragraph. We say that this instigation has not yet started, but is concentrating, right? So in other words, the energy in her is building. And so the effect on us will be sort of secondary. So it just happened for her. She just had this shift. Now it's going to ripple out and affect us. The figurative concepts of what is a new start must break apart. There cannot be the same conceptualization of what new beginnings will look like. So this is that idea that we are going to be going into the shift. There's with the potential for holding a whole lot more of ourselves, with being more whole, more integrated than was previously thought possible. So that is the big shift, the big thing that's changing. And it's important to see, as they're talking about this, that those old ideas about the way that it was going to be have to break apart. And it may be ideas that was sort of like held in place because this was the plan for humanity, and it may be stuff that we knew about before we got here. So it may not even be stuff we're conscious of, but it was kind of being held in place as like a template for how the awakening was going to happen. And that has to break apart. And so it may be a thing we're holding subconsciously. It may be a thing that sort of was in the collective consciousness of humanity, but was not necessarily in the conscious mind. I don't know. But that has to break apart. And this is part of how creation works. And this is something we've been learning from the mother of creation, who is, by the way, bursting at the seams and wants to come out of the closet. So I just dropped that in there, that I've been doing a lot of channeling with the mother of creation lately. And she is ready. She wants to come out and she wants to meet you guys and she wants to share her own voice. So we're gonna have a coming out party for the mother of creation. And I will keep you guys posted, but it's gonna be fun. We'll do it over a weekend because she needs time. She doesn't like to come out with just a little bit of a story. She wants to have time with you guys and to share her voice. So she's coming out. So maybe we'll do a weekend. We'll do a special weekend coming up, and I'll keep you posted. We're looking for a good time on the calendar where and I'm trying to really wrap my arms around everything she's been talking about. But we'll have a coming out party, you guys. And you're not going to want to miss it. So we will keep you posted. Kelsey says, woohoo. Exactly. Christy's like, exactly. What? Exactly. We've been calling her MOC, which is Mother of Creation, because there's not a good word for it. She doesn't love that name, but it works, right? Vicky says, I will be there. Woohoo. Yeah, it's going to be really fun, you guys. Yeah, she's amazing. You love feeling her. Thank you so much, Anne. Yeah, she is amazing. It's so incredibly fun to channel her and to bring her through. She's, yeah. So anyways, I'm very excited for it, but I'll keep you guys posted. It'll probably be I'm guessing in November. So, because I want to get through the retreat and be focused. I got to really focus my energy on the retreat, which is coming up. And then after that, I think it'll be perfect timing where I can feel we can come into it fresh and really give her the space that she needs to share her story and her healing with you guys. So yeah, super exciting. But part of her story is about teaching us about how creation works and the concept of the void, and how we have to step into whenever we're making space for new beginnings. There has to be a period of nothing. There has to be a period where we break away from old forms. We stay in the stillness, stay in the void, and then new things emerge from that. So they're really saying that here, the figurative concepts of what is a new start must break apart. And there cannot be the same conceptualization of what is a new beginning, of what new beginnings will look like. So we have to let those old ideas that are in the collective, that are maybe the original plan, that has to have time to kind of fall apart, break away. And then we sit in the, don't know, we'll see. And then it emerges from the new potential that we are all holding and that the earth is holding. It will be a departure from expectation. It will be a fractalization of your thought patterns that move apart into the ether and leave space in the void for this concentration of energy to form anew, to bring forward into thought form a new patterning that has not yet existed. So super cool, because it really is a description of how the void works. And this is one of the ways that as creative beings that the Mother of Creation wants to help to teach us how to work with our energy more productively in a way that we really understand how to work with the void. Because it's amazing. It's infinite potential. It's very exciting. Okay, next paragraph. This concentration of earth energy, yes, from the earth herself. So they're really trying to clarify here, this is not external energy coming from the sun or coming from the universe. It's coming from her connection to source. Shall orchestrate itself within the next opening of timing as it is performed by her and yourselves. I thought for a minute there that they were going to give us a timing. And then they were like, we're just going to be vague about timing. Angels. So anyways, it is the next opening of timing. So to me, this is just indicating that there are cycles of energy, and that, so it's going to be soon, right? Soon, as the angels like to say, soon. The very next opening of timing, the very next opportunity when the energy is right, is when we will then begin to have these portals and stuff open up for us to be able, and portals is a way of just describing an opportunity to step away from way things have been into leapfrog, right? That's kind of how I see the word portals here, is this an opportunity for all of a sudden an insight pops into your head and you see something, an awareness, and you literally leapfrog out of an old paradigm into a new one that reshapes your conceptualization of something, right? Major reality shifts for you and for all of us. Super cool. So in the next opening of timing, as it is performed by her and yourself, so it's dependent on us and her, but it'll be like the next cycle of energy, right? The concentration of vitality must build up into an expression of light from within her. So it's really her building up her life force, right? Because she's got this new energy coming in and she's going to build up, build up, build up. And then they say, this new opening shall cause for yourselves a departure from old ways much faster. New beginnings shall rupture much more quickly into the potentials that can rise between you. So another little infiltration here of teachings from the Mother of Creation, because she's been teaching us about how we actually grow. New beginnings shall rupture. We think of rupture as meaning breaking something apart. Like when something ruptures, we think of that as destructive, that it breaks. But you can think of it breaking apart. But the Mother of Creation has been teaching me that the way that we grow is by breaking our thought forms, breaking things apart into tinier and tinier and tinier pieces, because then each piece, it's almost like it has more surface area. It's a little bit like if you want to, so if you've ever dehydrated anything and you want to dehydrate it faster, or even if you want to cook something on the stove and you want to cook it faster, when you break it into smaller pieces, it cooks much faster because there's more surface area. There's more places for the water to escape and the thing to cook and all that, the heat to get in. It's just more surface area. We are the same way, that as a soul, as a higher self, that if we want to grow faster, we can break ourselves apart into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller pieces, which explains, in my view, why we have more and more and more and more people on earth. Like, where are all these souls coming from? Well, our higher selves know that we're reaching the beginning of a new state of consciousness. And so we're reaching the outer limits of our expansion, breaking our higher self apart into more and more and more expressions, because the more surface area we have as a higher self, the more growth each soul is then able to grow and grow and grow in terms of our own self-awareness, and then we will come back together again into unity. So that's why it's called a rupture, right? The rupture actually facilitates the growth. So yes, it's another like fascinating stuff that I've been learning from the Mother of Creation. It's been blowing my mind. But that's one of the things and so now that she's been talking about it, the angels are referencing it, which is, because now I'm open to it, right? And that's the thing true about being a channel, is that my own mind had to be blown in order for me to be open to understand and to receive some of the possibilities. Like, there are times when the angels will bring things through that I have no idea of, but they have to phrase it in a way that is in alignment with what I believe is possible. So there has to be parts of me that are open enough to receive certain messages. That's why the channel is always the thing, the clog. The channel is always the thing that's in the way, and so the goal for me through my entire journey has to try to become as clear as I possibly can. Like, that's the journey. How do I clear myself of predispositions or woundings or preconceived ideas? How do I open my mind? How do I stretch my own ideas of reality to be able to see things that I would have never thought were possible? Yeah, and that a lot is releasing judgment, all that kind of stuff, all of it. It's a thing, but it's true of all channels. Like, we can only kind of get, like, we are the restraining device on the flow, that's going to come through. So it is a beautiful blessing and burden, right? Yeah. So, okay. And where was I? I've been chatty. So here it is, the rupture. Okay, so next paragraph. And it's going to help us with stuff that's going to rise between us. So in other words, this will be affecting our interactions with one another. So in this next paragraph, they're describing to us how it's going to help us. How would this serve us? They say new offerings, new understandings, new ways of accessing your own hearts. Your hearts shall open much further. There shall be portals of concentration within yourselves because of what she is experiencing, the earth. Your own bodies, nourished from her, shall be bequeathed with this same instigation. And opportunities shall rise between and among you to open your hearts further than has been easily accessible. So it really is that idea that we do get a lot of energy from the earth. Yes, we are fed by the sun, but just like plants are, we drop energy support from the earth and from the sun. And so that energy coming up when we ground and that lovely earth energy comes up into the body, it's a new quality of energy that we're pulling in, which is amazing. And it's going to open us up to new offerings. So if there's something that we were maybe closing off, that all of a sudden maybe that whatever was in resistance could move out of the way and something new could come for you, right? New understandings where all of a sudden being like something that you just couldn't see before, all of a sudden you see it and you have clarity, right? New ways of accessing your hearts. This is the big one where we will become more open-hearted as a result of this experience of energy that we're about to get from Earth, right? So cool. Opportunities shall rise between and among you to open your hearts further than has been easily accessible. So that's the piece I think is really exciting. And it's all exciting, but that heart piece is a big, big deal. It shall be a rupturing apart of old paradigms of thinking, as if new perspectives sharpen and call you into perspective that was not made available before. Next paragraph. These concentrations of energy impart a spiritual perspective that is divinity. All concentrations of light are divine. They are, in reality, an experience of divinity, and they build up within the concentration of the earth, in her experiencing of what are her own thought patterns. And these then ripple out to be justified within the physicality of your bodies. So this is that the spiritual perspective that is divinity. So in other words, all light, they're trying to say here, is God. And God is my word, so please use yours. That's just the word I like. But they're saying that the light is divine. It's her connection to source. So yeah, she is a source of energy. She is a soul. She connects to the divine, and she shares that energy with us. And it will change because she has a new spiritual perspective. It'll change her thought patterns, and then these then ripple out to be justified. So this is that idea that we then mirror it back to her. So we become, in other words, between her expressing it and us receiving it and taking it in, and then mirroring it back, it builds a new reality between us, right? We have to she holds the energy, she shares it with us, we hold the energy, and then it becomes a reality. Yeah. Yeah, and Kelsey's saying justification can be a religious term. It is an affirmation of sanctification. Yes, and you're right. And it has some, and that is a total angel word of the day because it has multiple layers. And it does mean that it is like in the eyes of God. God, again, my word. But it is in the eyes, held in the eyes of God. And it also is this idea of this mirroring, of justifying it, meaning that it is, she holds it up and we take it in, which is a justification of its validity. So it's both, which is of course angel word. Angel word, there we go, of the day. Thank you, Kelsey. Beautiful. And then she said, or they say, where is it? Okay, next paragraph. And you shall be experiencing a departure from old thinking. You shall acknowledge your own path much differently and shall feel your hearts more glad for the inspiration to love more deeply, to forgive more easily, to bypass old grudges, and to allow what is with more ease. So this is describing the process, what we'll be feeling, right? And thought patterns, yes, but most especially, and I think it can start with the thought patterns, the heart opening. And that is that inspiration to love, right? To forgive, to let go of grudges, and to be okay with what is, to be less in resistance. Next paragraph. We say that this departure shall increase the volatility of earth, for she has within her the capacity to expand more now. So this is the only bad news in the message. And it is that there could be increased volatility. That means earthquakes, volcanoes, right? It's basically saying that she has within her the capacity to expand more. She's got to make some space, right? That she can hold more light now, and that's going to create a shakedown, a little bit of a shakedown cruise, which is true for us too. Think about this. When you go through and your lives, when you guys have gone through shifts in consciousness, when you've come to new awarenesses, it ripples out into your life and it can create some havoc. It can be a situation where all of a sudden you are not in harmony with friends or with partners or with jobs or with a home or a location, where all of a sudden you're like, I gotta move, I can't be here anymore. And it's because you've stepped on to a new height, and all of a sudden the things you resonated with before you just don't resonate with anymore, and it creates a little chaos in your life for a bit, and that can happen. It can be over a period of time. That's what they're saying here, that it's going to create a little bit of energy, a little bit of shifting that's going to go on. Some movement may happen. We may see some big movement, more volatility. That could come out, sure, as earth stuff. It could be weather patterns. It could be, who knows, any way that she shifts, like that she moves, anything where she can express that volatility, where she's trying to move into an alignment with more ease. So there may be some things that move, and we don't know quite how that's going to come about, but that is a potential outcome of this. And as we have said before, like, we don't want to get in the way of the earth's process of healing. We want to support her but we can soften it. We can soften the expression. We can, and hopefully create movements of earth, movements for her that don't harm others. So we can do that through holding and sending her love, however you do it. But if you do it through prayer, but through the idea of being accepting of her, not trying to prevent her or trying to change her expression, but just creating a soft landing, a place where she can have her moment and feel seen and loved and accepted, witnessing her shift. Create space for her to become something new, like creating the space to say, I accept you in the new way you're becoming. Then she doesn't have to fight. She doesn't have to push against us. She can just, oh, okay, you accept me. Just imagine, like, if you shifted and you had an old friend, and this happened to me, by the way. Early on, when I was early on my journey and I hosted my first Spirit Summit, which was an event I used to do where I had a bunch of different speakers and practitioners from all over the area. It was super fun. And I invited an old friend of mine who is not into the woo that much. She's amazing. I love her. She's a really cool person, but it's just not her calling. She finds spirit in another way, and that's absolutely okay. But she came to support me. She came to support me. And that was the thing that was really cool. Of all of my friends from my past life, she's the only one who came along. And she's the only one and she showed up, and she even gave a testimonial video, which was like, I didn't know she did it. Like, there had a videographer there, and I saw the video later. I'm like, I can't believe she did it. It was so cool, so cool. And she did it like out of love and acceptance and all those things. So I think that's the idea, is that she was willing, and we're still of course friends, and I see her and appreciate her for who she is. and she appreciates me for who I am. So she makes space for me to be who I am now, and I make space for her to be who she is. And so that's kind of the idea: is can the earth see us as that friend who can transition with her, as opposed to the friend who says, oh, you've changed, I don't feel we're in vibration anymore. We can move with her, and that will ease the transition for her and hopefully make it easier on humanity and life on earth. So that's what I would encourage us to do, is to try to look for those opportunities to send her love, to be the witness, to be accepting of what is, to hold her a space of peace where she can feel sheltered from her own storm, So, all right. So then the capacity to bridge, so she has the capacity to expand more now, the capacity to bridge farther than was previously thought possible. The creative potential of her expression shall rupture more easily than that which has encased her, that which has restrained her dialogue with the all that is. So the angels told us before, this was part of her, this is her wounding that she's working through, is the feeling of being alone in the universe, as if she's isolated, abandoned, on her own. And so that has created a whole series of woundings for her. And that encasement, which has prevented her from connecting with the universe, that has a potential to start rupturing, which is very exciting. She shall find herself more forgiving, less reliant upon old stories and woundings, as if that which defined herself and yourselves into structured and rigid consecrations of victimhood become fragile and break easily. And so remember, we are the neurons of the earth. So there are some of our victim stories are her victim stories, places where we define ourselves. And it's easy to come into that, right? Places where we feel like things have happened to us, where we feel like life hasn't been fair to us in some way. And we have all gone through it. We've all gone through, it's very hard to come through some of the woundings that we go through in order to wake up. It's hard to go through those without sometimes going through a process of victimhood. And then we have to find our way through it and figure out a way that it was actually there for us, right? That's the journey. And it takes some time. And the earth is going through it right now, where she has had her places of victimhood. And now through this process, she's opening up to breaking those concepts of herself as a victim, breaking those apart and seeing herself now, seeing how it's actually been for her and how she's become stronger, better, faster, right? All the bionic things we would want for our earth. So they become, and those ideas, those stories become more fragile and break more easily now with this new energy. And then they say, next paragraph, and she shall rise to impart to herself a broader dialogue of acceptance of herself. So self-love, right? And in the reality as it is forming around yourselves and from within yourselves, there shall rise new potentials for caring and loving what is. So this is like, how do we reflect her self-love? This is a cool concept, you guys, that she is coming to greater self-love. And so the places where we have been raging against what is, where we even think about the days when you're like, I'm mad that it's raining. And then the moment that we become at peace with what is, where we're like, it's rain, it's okay. Everybody, I just need an umbrella. It's not a big deal. How we are no longer in rejection to her rain, right? Where we become accepting what is. This is the description of us creating space for her change, where she is showing up differently by accepting herself. And we will then reflect that back to her, because it's like whenever we have a wound, we're playing tug of war, where we are, and sometimes we start the tug of war where we're like, we see our wound on someone else, we project it on someone else. So hers might be, you reject me, right? Because I'm alone, so I feel rejected. So that must mean that every being around me has rejected me. So she will be pulling that, saying, you're going to reject me. And we are on the other side holding that rope saying, it's raining again, or it's so dang hot, or whatever it is, or however we're fighting against whatever she is expressing in that moment. So she started it, and we pick up the energy and reflect it back to her. So now that's breaking apart. For her, she is coming to peace and being like, you know what? I don't feel that you are against me. I do feel like I'm worthy of being loved. And now we're going to reflect that back to her and say, you know what? I actually feel less upset about the rain, and I feel more at ease with what is. And I'm using rain as an example, but I think it helps because I think there have been times when we've all been mad that it was raining. Until I had a garden. Now I have a garden. I'm like, yay, rain. It does really change your feeling about rain, having a veggie garden. Next paragraph. This is an imperative step for the wholesomeness that you wish to embody and the wholeness that you wish to embody. It is an imperative step for the soulful climb into the new functioning of reality, into the higher aspect of who you are, the broader, greater selves that you're becoming but it was not expected just yet. So that what they're talking about here is loving what is, being at peace with what is, which is think about how that takes energy out of the system when we are not fighting what is, that loving what is. So she's reflecting the energy out, saying, hey, maybe I'm not unlovable. And we're saying, no, okay, now you feel that way. We're going to drop our end of the tug of war and we're going to become more at peace with what is. And so that heightening polarity, right? All of a sudden there's space for her to come to peace. So it's an imperative step, and that we are now reaching it sooner, or have the potential to reach it sooner. Then they say the flash of light will come. It is not this, right? Because the flash of light is external. It's not internal. It's not coming from the earth. It's coming from outside, from the universe. It is not the great moment of ascension. It is merely an expression. So in other words, there's a bigger light coming, right? It is merely an expression of yourselves that enriches that which must come later. So in other words, and then they say it creates for yourselves a broader throughway. More of yourselves shall be carried into the beyond nature of who you become, right? So more self-awareness. We will be able to hold more of the light of our own soul as we move into the higher state of consciousness. And if this makes sense, if you think about it, that there are all different types of souls that are here on this plane right now. And the goal for this shift in consciousness is to bring as many humans as we can, as many souls as we can, into the new state of consciousness. But there are souls of every degree of experience. We have brand new souls, we have old souls, we have all types of souls that are here. Every single one is invited. And so you could theoretically have a fairly new soul who is not resistant to the energy of the flash of light, right? Who is very open-minded, who was just created that way, created as a very open-minded soul, who was just a soul that doesn't experience a lot of resistance to what is, right? That maybe they still have all their wounds and their karma, but they're not in resistance to what is. And just it happens, that's how they're architected. Well, that soul could easily be carried into the higher state of consciousness, but they are not going to have as much dimension to them, as much depth to them as an old soul who has deepened their awareness because of how much of the book that they have, the book of their own soul that they've read. How much self-learning have they done? So they will just have the capacity to carry more light. They will be carrying the light at a higher octave, but they will have the capacity to carry more light. But all different levels of souls could potentially shift, right? Which is cool, which is really cool. But that's the idea, that it is creating more of us will come through. Okay, next paragraph. There shall be a lengthening in the duration of your ascension, as if more and more of your embodiment can attune to what is the new dialogue that is becoming. I don't think this means that the flash of light just got postponed. I think the flash of light is on its way, and the universe is a big place. So I think it's coming, and we have called it to us. They told us already that we have already crossed the tipping point of when it would be called to us. It's coming, I believe, from the grand central sun and the center of the universe, maybe. Anyways, it's coming to us. So it's on its way, but so that's kind of a fixed point. It's going to arrive when it's going to arrive. And but our ability to start tuning into it is becoming sooner, and that's why it's lengthening, right? Because we're starting soon. The start line just moved forward, where we are going to be able to embody more and more of that energy. More and more of our embodiment can attune to what is the new dialogue that is becoming. Thus, as this adventuring that you are on becomes richer, we encourage yourselves to become conscious of this awakening time, of all that moves through you. And I love that they call it this adventuring, that they put it just like, this should be fun. Like, as we get closer and closer to the shift, as we open more and more to our truth, I hope for all of us that we will be able increasingly to see the journey of this experience, of this life that we're having, as an adventure, that we will become so friction free that we will see every day as like a gift and a joy, right? That it will become that accessible to us. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to have our issues or our problems, but even in those, we will be able to see the beauty, of what we're receiving from it and through it. That I think is the vision for us as we're moving towards this energy, or with this energy, I should say. And so they're encouraging us to become conscious of this awakening time, of all that moves through you. And then next paragraph, I've highlighted this whole paragraph. The earth herself has achieved something that is remarkable and memorable, as she has saturated herself in a loving frequency of I am. So that's, she's achieved a degree of self-love. And I don't think that means that she's necessarily, maybe she is 100% whole at this moment. I don't know, but at least in some part, right? She's saturated herself in a loving frequency, which is in a loving frequency of I am. So cool. And this then becomes something palpable which you can partake in. We wish this for yourselves. Next paragraph. We wish for you to participate. We wish for yourselves to own and take in and to be part of this heightening perspective of self. To the broadening expression of your light can then transport you into higher yet dialogues with the eternal self that is always becoming. So we bless you, we thank you, and we say goodbye. So this is that idea that really what they're saying is like, this is a message to give us the awareness of this possibility so that we will be on the lookout for it, so that as opportunities present themselves, we are looking, we're noticing, we're jumping on the bandwagon, right? If a new possibility, if all of a sudden we see things in a new way, notice it, take it in and sit with it and let it become, right? Give space for it. Don't immediately shut it down. Don't immediately slip back into old dialogues, pulling up old anger or pulling up old feeling. Like make space for the release of that, right? Make space to let go of grudges, that kind of stuff. If you have, if something like that is in there, and we've all got our stuff, all of us do. There's no judgment in that. That's the journey, right? It's the journey. But it is that idea that the broadening expression of your light can then transport you into higher dialogues with the eternal self, which is your higher self, right? That is always becoming. So this is the goal, to bring in more of our higher selves as we are moving towards the flash of light. Super cool message, right? I knew you guys are going to love it, because it's inspiring. It's so exciting that this has happened. I really see it as like, we are crushing it, you guys. Earth is crushing it. We are crushing it. And you got to ask, they told us before that we were ahead of schedule. So did our movement, the work we've done on ourselves, is that what made this happen for the earth? Because we are her neurons. So it could be, right? It could be that that's what made the shift for her, which then turns around and feeds us. So maybe, right? I'll sit with that possibility. I'm super excited about that idea. All right, you guys, tons of love to all of you. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing the energy. I really appreciate how you hold the energy. You make so much more come through as I'm sharing these messages, and I am grateful. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys next Friday live.